And now we are going to our roundtable. We were supposed to have two guests today, novelist Chido Onumah and journalist Chido Onumah. We cannot reach Chika at the moment, but we have Chido with us, and Chido is joining us via Skype from Abuja, Nigeria. Chido has an MA in journalism, and he is a director at the African Center for Media and Information Literacy. He's also the author of the book Time to Reclaim Nigeria. Chido, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you very much.
So let me start by asking you, what is the mood there in Abuja today following the incident of last weekend, the plane crash?
I think generally there is a feeling of outrage coupled with that of panic. People have been calling families and friends around the country, wishing them well. And a lot of people who had made plans to travel are kind of cautiously weighing their options. People are talking about the possibility of taking a road trip rather than flying. But that hasn't really stopped people generally from flying. People who have had reasons to attend to assignments in Lagos or Ibadan or make visits have continued to do so. But there is a sense of foreboding. There is a general feeling of panic, if you will, that people are cautious about, particularly when you read reports every day of what could have been responsible for the crash and the state of the aviation industry in Nigeria. So I would say it's a mixed feeling of optimism that this can be a wake-up call, but also of panic in the sense that people are worried about their own safety.
Now, what is the media reporting over there? Is there any new information since the last few days? Is there any new information coming out?
There is really nothing particularly new in terms of information as to what led to the crash, but that one of the papers I'm holding here, the Nation newspaper, is reporting there's a report on the state of aircraft in the country, and generally what you find that a lot of these aircrafts are old aircrafts that are averaging about 20 years. Some are about 30, even others are about 40 years old. So it calls for serious concern on the part of our regulators to actually ensure, even though I've read reports that the age of aircraft really do not matter as long as these aircraft are properly serviced, but then nobody knows what kind of service many of these aircraft, some of which had been put on hold in some countries and brought to Nigeria for use.
Have we heard from the Minister of Aviation?
Yes, the story is that they've set up a panel, I think headed by retired Captain Okonkwo. I think that will be inaugurated on Monday to review the crash.
Sorry, say it again. I didn't hear you very well.
A committee, the Minister for Aviation has inaugurated a committee headed by a retired Group Captain Okonkwo. I think the committee will be inaugurated on Monday.
And they are to look into what happened?
Yes, they are to look into what happened.
Now, in your book, Time to Reclaim Nigeria, you wrote that the problem is that, one of the things you talked about, the problem of nothing reminding us of our past. What does this incident remind you of? I mean, what is the bigger picture that you get from this plane crash?
For me, this is one of the many symptoms of the crisis of the Nigerian state. It's just the nature of the incidents that it was quite gory, bloody, and vivid. That's why were perhaps paying a lot of attention to it and talking. I mean, so many other things. Just 2 days ago, a building collapsed in Anambra State, in Oka, a building that was already finished. I think 2-3-story building, and about 5 or 6 people died. So it just tells you that there are a lot of issues that the Nigerian state would need to grapple with, and it's unfortunate that our leaders have this kind of knee-jerk reaction in terms of solutions to problems. So they wait for something to happen, they set up a committee. I would rather look beyond this and hope that we can begin to take a fundamental look at the problem of the Nigerian society itself. So for me, this is just a manifestation of a much deeper problem. This is not the first time we've had this kind of incidents concerning planes crashing, and where are the reports? There is nothing public to tell you that the government is even serious about dealing with this issue. So as terrible as this accident is, as tragic as it is, I think for me it should be a wake-up call to begin to address much more fundamental problem of the structure of the Nigerian state, the question of corruption, the issue of governance, and so on. As far as I'm concerned, there's really no governance going on in this country at present, and it's manifesting itself in things like planes crashing and our institutions not functioning and so on.
I wanted to bring up the issue that there are a lot of tragic things going on in Nigeria, but this incident touches the elite, and for some reason, maybe for that reason, everyone seemed to pay greater attention to that. Are they isolated from all the tragic things that happen in the country, and are they reacting? Are they becoming aware that everybody is a victim of the system that doesn't work?
Well, you hope they would, but I mean, people have said it's not as if anybody wants to wish anybody. People have said a lot of things in terms of perhaps if government officials or governors or senators were involved in this crash, perhaps it will be something that hits home directly, and they'll begin to pay more attention to it.
You've been a commentator. Sorry, okay, continue.
No, what I'm saying is that, I mean, even in the midst of all these tragedies, the looting is still going on, the corruption still persists. So it almost looks like the only thing that can force the hand of the elite or change their mind, it's a complete breakdown of law and order in the country. If you have isolated cases of plane crashing here, buses, accidents here and there, as long as it doesn't touch the money that comes in to the government and affects the pillaging that goes on, it's business as usual. It will look as if nothing happened.
Now, you've been a commentator for a long time. Do you get tired of repeating yourself, or of reporting and writing about similar tragedies every now and then?
It's quite frustrating, and you want to, but I mean, as long as you are a citizen of this country and you live in this country, it's impossible. You just can't stand aside and watch things. You think that every day you hear stories, you see what's going on, you think that you heard the worst, and tomorrow something much more bizarre happens to shock you. Every day something interesting happens in this country, whether it's the monumental corruption that keeps expanding in scope and character everywhere, whether it's the attitude of the leadership to the people, those who they are supposed to govern. So for a commentator, it's difficult. You want to say you're tired, you want to give up, but something new happens every day that shocks you, and that's, for me, is it's one of the things I really can't put my fingers on.
One of the chapters in your book is called Dream Deferred.
Yes.
What the Nigerian dream, is it deferred? Is it anywhere near? What is going on with the Nigerian ideal?
Well, whether we like it or not, something has to give. No country survives the way Nigeria is being run for too long. I mean, we may decide to hide our heads in the sand and pretend that we can continue to manage this country. But somehow something has to give. And my own worry is that unless we make conscious efforts to try to reclaim this country, which is much of what I addressed in my book, we may have in our hands a situation that will consume all of us. And for me, that's the most worrying aspect of this tragedy that appears.
So you said in your book, time to reclaim Nigeria. Is this the time? What will trigger it? Have we missed the opportunity during the oil subsidy protest? Can you hear me, Chido? Hello? All right, I think Chido is not responding. We will try to connect back to him, but let me speak to Shehu Sani, who is a pilot in training. Shehu, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Shehu,
you.
okay, good. All right, so tell us, where are you calling us from, and what do you want to say about this plane crash?
Okay, my name is Shehu Sani Sami, and I'm calling from Coventry in the United Kingdom.
Okay, and you are a pilot in training?
Yeah, I'm a pilot in the very early stages of my training.
Okay, so when you heard about this airplane crash, how did you feel? What was your reaction?
Well, my first reaction was we shouldn't have crashes, but it's quite unfortunate that we do. And if this is the case, why don't we in Nigeria as a country have the investigative capability to decode black box information, which is very vital to finding out the causes of crashes? And also, now that we are taking the black box to America, why does it have to take so long to get the results? Because we see every day with plane crashes over there, it takes weeks and probably a few months to get those same results. And also, how are we sure after decoding the black box there will be any information in it? Because if I'm not mistaken, I can remember the ADT air crash of 2006. It was also taken abroad and had no information at all recorded in it.
Now,
so these were my first concerns when I heard about the air crash.
Okay. Chido, are you back with us? Hello, Chido. All right, Cheryl, let's continue. I want to know. So, your training so far.
Yeah.
Is there anything that, based on what you've learned, that you feel that might be what went wrong with the so far the story you've read about the incident?
Yeah. Well, first of all, with my training, the first lesson you always learn with flying is that safety is key. And the thing with Nigeria, how do you ensure that safety in the first place to be able to prevent such air crashes? How are we sure that is actually being done? How are we sure we are safe to get on an aircraft? How are we sure all the checks and maintenance have been done properly enough to be able to reduce the chances of having an air crash?
Okay, hold on. Let me see if we can still get Chido. Chido, are you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, good, very good.
Yes.
All right, so we're sorry we lost you. Okay, so I asked you whether this is the time to reclaim Nigeria. Shehu will be back with you in a minute. Whether it's the time to reclaim Nigeria, and whether we've missed the chance during the oil protest that was aborted. So can you help us understand?
Well, of course it is, because if we don't do it now, as I indicated earlier, perhaps we will have in our hand one of the worst situations this country would go through since the Civil War. So even though we had the opportunity and we sort of missed it during the oil subsidy protest, I don't think that's the end of the possibility. What for me it signaled was the capacity of Nigerians to get mobilized and do something. And I think the crisis that is currently unfolding offers an opportunity for the Nigerian people to rise once again and reclaim their country. If we don't do it, nobody is going to do it for us. But even much more important, that if we don't do it, we may all get consumed by the anarchy that's going to envelop this land.
Typically, people ask who is going to lead these efforts to reclaim the country. Who is going to lead?
Well, if we have a leader, well and good, but we necessarily do not have to wait for somebody to come and lead us. Nigerians, we are all leaders in our own right. We are all affected by the problem of electricity, the bad roads, the bad schools, the bad hospitals, and so on. And I think people should speak out more. People should get involved, whether at the community level, whether at the local, state, national level. There are a lot of platforms, there are a lot of opportunities that are begging to be used for people to begin to pay attention to what's going on and begin to make demands on the government, whether at the local level, at the state level, and ultimately at the federal level. It appears that we seem not to be affected enough by what is going on to feel the urge or the need for us to rally around and begin to oppose what is going on currently, which is quite sad. People say if things have not gotten bad enough, but I don't know how bad we should wait for things to go before we tell ourselves that. And the last piece I did for Sahara Reporters touched on the clamor for 2015, for example. I don't think there is the possibility of free and fair election in this country. It's not possible. So anybody looking at the election of 2015 and hoping that we can put in place whether we want to remove PDP or not, there are more fundamental problems, the structure of this country, issues of citizenship, issues of federalism in terms of revenue allocation, revenue generation. And these are some of the fundamental issues that people need to coalesce around and find a coalition and say whether we want to conduct an election in 2015 or not. That's a different matter. We need to address the fundamental problems affecting this country, and unless we do that, we are really wasting our time.
Okay, Chido, right now I'm going to open up this conversation. We have I think we have few guests who are with us via Skype. They will be involved in the discussion and they can as well ask questions to you or anybody else. I want to go back to Shehu, who is a student pilot. Shehu, did you at any point, when you finish, where are you going to actually, where will you practice? Are you going to be a pilot in Europe or are you coming back home?
Well, I'd obviously want to come back home, but the thought in my mind is, as a pilot in training, do I actually have a safe future in Nigeria? Which is a really big question with all the air crashes and things that have been happening lately.
Okay, so this incident is also having an impact on that decision for you.
Yeah, it's definitely having an impact because safety is always key and it comes first. But with the situation in Nigeria right now, I'm not sure if the safety standards are actually good enough for me to be able to be comfortable to go and fly and make a career out of it in Nigeria.
Okay, Shehu, stay with us. Let me get Nelson Olufemi involved. Nelson, welcome to Sahara TV.
Thank you, Mr. Okonkwo. How are you?
Good. So tell us where you're calling from and what do you want to contribute?
I am calling from Tennessee, in the US.
Okay. Now hold on, Nelson. There's someone whose computer, the volume is on, and we're hearing interference in our program. Please, can you turn down the audio of your computer so that we don't hear interference? Okay, go on, Nelson.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, let me register my condolences to the families of the victim of the crash. Mr. You can see.
Okay, Olufemi, sorry, we are still getting that audio interference. All right, go ahead.
Like Mr. Onumah said, what happened? Be as sad as maybe it shouldn't surprise anybody, because when you run a country where Nigeria is being run, what happened on Sunday is one of the consequences of the way Nigeria is being run. Unfortunately, it has to happen. The consequences of our actions. Nigeria is a country that's like a keg of gunpowder waiting to explode. It's like a bomb waiting to explode. So when stuff like this happens, of course, a lot of attentions are being paid to them. But the fact of the matter is, they cannot but happen when we run our country the way the country is being run. You guys have been putting a lot of videos on your TV today talking about the state of the conditions of the victims of this. I'm talking about the survivors now, the people that their houses and their families were affected. What has the government done to help them? What has the steps been taken in the same nation, the same countries? Such people are supposed to be taken care of. They're not supposed to be in places like this.
Okay. Olufemi, let me stop you there. We're having a lot of interference. I think someone's computer is on and they are not aware that they are on our show. What I will do is I will probably get some people off, and then we'll be right back. Let me take a minute break and I'll get some people off from our line. Yeah, and I will be right back. Okay. Hi, welcome back to Sahara TV. We're having the roundtable, and I hope you are enjoying our show. We had a little technical problem, and that was why we took a break. But now we have Segun, who is at the scene of the plane crash. So he is going to join us and show us how it looks like as of this moment. It's about 8 p.m. in Lagos. So let's go to Segun. Segun, welcome to Sahara TV. Segun, can you hear me? Segun?
Yes, I'm here on the site right now.
Okay, so what are you seeing? Tell us. Guide us on what you are seeing over there.
So there are some machines from Julius Berger right now that are still clearing up the rubble on the site.
Okay.
You can see a bulldozer working on the site right now.
Okay. And who are these people that we are seeing over there? Who are the people there now? Hello? Segun, who are the people moving around there? You are looking.
This one, the men of Becca, that are just trying to assist with the clearing of the site.
Can you say that again? We don't hear you very well.
They are men working with Julius Berger.
Okay.
They are working with Julius Berger to clear up the rubble on the site.
Okay. Well, where are they taking them to? Do you know? Segun, do you?
I don't think to understand because I'm yet to ask questions from somebody.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So,
yes, I can hear you.
Okay, are there any kind of law enforcement, police people there stopping anybody from getting to the site?
Say that again, please.
Are there police officers or law enforcement agents stopping people from getting to the site?
Say it again, please. There's noise here because of the bulldozer that
I can understand. I'm saying, are there any kind of policemen or people stopping others from getting to the site? I can see a military man. Is that part of the security they have there, or they don't have?
Yeah, the place. Yeah, the site has actually been cordoned off right now. It's about to rain. It's about to rain here. They have actually cordon this place around so that nobody gets in except those that are actually working on the site.
Okay.
So if you have no business here, you can just come in.
Okay, I could see the tape.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So what about the people in that area? What happened to them?
You can see.
Yeah, I can see.
It's guided.
Yeah, very good. I can see that. So what about the people in that area? What happened to them? Where are they now? The people who live near the building, in the building that the plane destroyed.
Yes, they have been taken to a relief center. Where
I think we lost your audio. Can you hear me? Shegun, can you hear me? Okay, I think we lost Shegun. We'll try to reconnect to him. He is at the site of the crash and he's giving us feed from that site, which is marvelous. So we are not just talking about something that we are presenting to you, exactly the picture of the site of the crash as it is today. We'll get back to Chido Onumah, who is our guest for the roundtable, and we'll still take some of your Skype calls. I know some of you are trying to reach us, but we just have this special feed from the site of the crash, so we wanted to talk to Shegun, who is right there on the ground, to tell us what the picture looks like, what is going on at this moment. And the pictures we've seen show that they are trying to clear the whole place, and there is security men. They are preventing people who do not have business being there from going back. Shegun, can you hear me? Okay, I think we lost Shegun.
We have a suggestion to call on the other Skype so we don't have any interruptions. Do you want to take a break?
Chido, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. So let me give you like the next 2 minutes before we go back to Shegun. Chido, did you see the video, the picture that we showed about from the scene? Chido?
Fleetingly, I saw the one from Channels TV. I saw something, but it was on and off.
Okay. Now, I wanted to start from the picture that have been on TV about people getting to the scene and taking pictures and things like that. What does that what does that say about our people and how we handle what is typically an accident scene, when people can easily walk into the scene and basically tamper with evidence in some cases? Can you hear me? Chido? Okay, I think we lost Chido.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, the picture you saw at the point from the point that the plane crashed till now, what does that say about our people? The way people besiege the area and the disorganization. How do you see that?
Okay, well, Rudolf, I mean, we can continue to blame citizens of this country from now till eternity. Nothing is going to change. For me, all of this is a product of a deeply flawed system. And there are much more serious issues that confront us as a people. I mean, you're talking about pictures of people. There are scenes on TV where people were actually using water from from the gutter. People were trying to get pure water sachet, water in the sachet that is called pure water here, to try to. It just tells you how deep rooted the crisis of the Nigerian state is. Whether it's the issue of ethics, whether it's the issue of discipline. I mean, there are no regulations, there are no laws, there are no procedures in terms of if accidents occur, how people should respond to it, what should be the attitude of first responders, the police, and so on. The expectation, one, is that, I mean, the police would have other agencies, whether it's the fire service or the road safety or any other group involved, come there, cordon off the place. I mean, you could see people climbing on top of the aircraft. You don't know what exactly their role or responsibility be. These are not trained personnel who could handle. In fact, some people could actually put themselves at risk. But as I said, we could continue to go on and play the blame game here. there is no direction. Nobody knows what to do, and God forbid there is an epidemic of large proportion in this country or something much more tragic happens. There are no laws, there are no regulations, there are no laid down procedures that people ought to follow. So nobody knows what to do when there is an accident on the highway, for example. You don't know whether to call the police, whether to take the person to is it hospital or clinic, or call an ambulance. So these are part of the challenges, and I think for me these issues fade into insignificance if we understand the much more fundamental problems that confront us. And until we are able to solve some of these fundamental problems I keep referring to, some of these things will be there. And if those other problems are solved, a lot of these things will be put in place. You could see, are you going to blame those who were there to support? If you see the hose, the fire service hose, the water hose that was used, it stretched for about God knows how many meters. There was no way for the fire service to get there. This hose was carried by residents of the area. Without their support, there was no way the fire service. Then, if you look at that, you have to talk about building codes. How easily accessible it is for, and that's how Lagos is. 3/4 of Lagos, no emergency vehicles can access buildings if they are on fire.
Now, Chido, one of the chapters of your book is called "When Democracy Insults." Now, one would have expected that we've had democracy for the past 13 years, that there will have been improvement in the way, the lifestyle and the welfare of our people. It appears it has not happened. Why?
Of course, there are a number of reasons, but one of the most or their close association with the military and so on. So the fact that we have had elections from 99 up until last year does not necessarily mean that these elections, one, are free and fair, or two, that we actually have democracy in the true sense of the word. It's correct that, okay, we have civilian rule, we have had elections, but that in no way equates to the fact that citizens of this country have enjoyed the dividend of democracy. And for me, one of the ways we can get back to that, considering the nature of the Nigerian society and the structure, is to see how we can fundamentally address the problem of Nigeria, which is more structural than anything else. And until we do that, there is no way that we can enjoy the benefits of democracy in this country. We will continue to hold elections after elections. I mean, Buhari has come out to say there will be blood if the elections in 2015 are rigged. For goodness sake, the elections will be rigged. Why wouldn't they be rigged? Because Jega, who was given close to 100 billion naira barely 2 years ago, has come out to tell us that INEC lacks the capacity to prosecute election offenders. I mean, if you are somebody who is interested in rigging, what does that tell you? It literally empowers you to go ahead and rig election, because nothing is going to happen at the end of the day.
All right, Chido, hold on. Let me get we have a guest who's been patient and he's been listening to us. Onumah, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so tell us where you're calling from and what you want to contribute.
I'm calling from Abuja.
Okay, good.
Yeah, in line with what Mr. Chido I'm talking about. Now, citizens education, it's in the responsibility of the National Orientation Agency. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Continue.
Yeah. the responsibility of the National Orientation Agency to let people know things to do. Now, in terms of policy in line with disaster management and what citizens need to do in that case, looking at the pictures that you put displayed and all that, you will see that people, as in that those people around there, they do not really understand. If you look at those that are working, if you watch a footage video and all that, those that are working, they are working. Why those that are there, like spectators, those that are snapping photographs and all that, they are not doing anything there. They are just there to look at what is happening. So I don't think the government will come and tell you that, see, clear your way or make your way. You need to understand as a citizen or as a human being, you need to understand your responsibility as a citizen first. Because at the end of the day, the government or anybody will not raise your hand to do anything that is required. So my concern as looking at the disaster crash, those that were there before the rescue team, NEMA and all that came in, they need to understand that if anything is happening, it is your responsibility to assist. If you are not assisting in rescuing the situation, you have to give way for those that will assist the situation. Because at the end of the day, crowd control became a problem in that case. I told the crowd, I was like, wow, what are these people doing there? Is it a crusade? What is happening there? Crowd control became a problem. If what's it called, the fire service came, nothing could have been done. And look at the length, like what Mr. Chido said. Look at the length that the host took. Over how many meters? You know, the vehicles cannot come close, and there are no helicopters there to assist to bring down. I don't know, firefighting helicopters to do work. We need to understand that Nigeria, we have a lot of issues. Now the citizens will not add to the issues. We need to assist ourselves. If the government will not assist us, we need to assist ourselves. So that's the little I need to add to that effect.
All right, thank you so much. Chido, whose responsibility is it to orient the citizens in these situations?
Oh, it's the responsibility of the government, of course, and just as the last caller said, the National Orientation Agency for me is non-existent. We just have an agency that has been used as a political conduit pipe for the ruling party. There was a DG who was there for so many years, 8 years or so. He just left, and the current president just appointed the party man. These are some of the agencies in this country that you have to really get professionals to man, people who, I mean, there are a lot of things you can do as the DG of the National Orientation Agency that have not,
all right, I have not. Chido, hold on. Let me go to Olufemi. Olufemi, welcome back.
Yes, sir.
Have you been following our discussion?
Absolutely.
All right. So what do you think now is the way forward for the country? Because there is this statement from he's the secretary of the Airline Operators of Nigeria, and he explained that aircraft were made and are flown by human beings, and the human error element in the cause of the accident is about 75%. So basically he's saying that there will be more accidents and there is nothing we can do. What should we do? What should the country, the people...
He is right. He is right, and we give that to him. But the point of the matter is, what actions, what element of things do they put in place to minimize the consequences of stuff like this when they happen? Of course, we do agree that accidents cannot be completely removed from our society, but what can we do to minimize them? Look at the stories we have read about this accident. What caused it? Of course, they are not even telling us the truth, which is another thing I heard earlier from the NEMA spokesperson telling Nigerians or the public or the world that 5 minutes after the crash, that 7 firefighters truck were there. That was lie. Everybody knows that. So why will you come on a platform like this and tell lies to the public that you're supposed to be governing? So the solution lies with us. Like Mr. Parkins said about Noah orientating the people. Where is Noah today? When was the last time you hear anything from Noah? They are as good as being dead.
Okay.
So the point of the matter is, I'm afraid Nigeria is losing my generation, and I don't want Nigeria to lose the generation of my children.
All right.
And that is why you and I will need to rise up and do something about this situation. We cannot just continue to be passive about this issue. Mr. Onumah has put a lot of things in his book. He has said a lot of things about the things he wrote in his book. We all need to get copies of that book. We all need to rise up and be responsible. Rise up and let these people know that we are tired of this situation. Nigerians cannot continue to live and manage this situation, because the more we manage it, the worse it gets. We need to rise up and challenge it.
All right, Olufemi, I'll ask you to watch the rest of the program offline so that we can take more calls from other people. Shehu, let me get you back in. Can you tell, if you have the chance to talk to the people who are managing the aviation industry, what will you tell them they need to do to bring you back as a pilot to come home and work in Nigeria?
First of all, we have to have strong policies to ensure that all the maintenance checks are being carried out, so that these aircrafts are safe to be able to be flown in. Because if you're not sure that you're being safe in an aircraft, then there's no point in being on one.
Okay. So if are you following what is going to happen? Are you interested in knowing what the report says and if there are changes that are going to happen within the industry?
Yeah, I'm very interested in hearing the final report, because I can't stop thinking about the crash that happened in 2006, in which the black box was also taken abroad. But unfortunately, there was no information recorded at all on that black box. So I just hope and pray that there will be information on this particular black box to help us investigate and come to a reasonable conclusion.
All right, Shehu, thank you so much, and Olufemi, thank you, and Onome, thank you. I will go back to Chido. Chido, so there's an angle that we've now looked at. That is the global part of it, which was about where the plane came from, how old it is, and all the machines we're using in Nigeria, all the equipment, even the cars we're driving. You know, are we a dumping ground for old and used materials? And how do we overcome that situation? You know, if we don't have the industrial revolution, we don't produce anything. How do we overcome the difficulty of being able to buy brand new materials for the country?
Of course, we are a dumping ground. I mean, as I alluded earlier at the beginning of this discussion, you see a lot of the older companies find planes that an average age of 30, 35, even 40. The problem, it goes back again, and I hate sounding like a broken record. People would want to say, oh, keep referring to. I mean, there are a lot of things one can produce, but fundamentally, you go back to the structure of Nigeria and the issue of corruption. Because Nigeria is not the only country that does not produce airplanes and imports things like cars and airplanes. But if you, even where you have laws and regulations, when these laws and regulations are not followed, because people want to cut corners, people do not obey the regulatory framework that is put in place to check these things, there will be problems. So if you have a situation where you do not produce cars, you do not produce airplanes, but there are regulations that says no aircraft that is more than 10, 15 years old should come into this country. People do not just wake up one day and say they want to start an airline, even when they don't have the capacity to do it. Nobody checks. The National Assembly is now doing all kinds of putting emergency programs in place and saying, no, you can hear the kind of rhetoric that is going on in the chambers there, that they don't even want to really understand the fundamental problems. All they're interested in is hearsay. Oh, these planes are old planes. They are flown by some foreigners, and this is a senator talking. Foreigners came into this country and said, where were they when foreigners came into this country and set up? It's not as if I'm against foreigners setting up, but there must be rules and regulation. People have talked about the need for a specialized ministry like aviation to have an industry professional to handle that ministry, so that you have people who would know when things go wrong and they are technically aware, sound, and able to address the issue. It's not an industry that you want to politicize. And if you look at the history of that industry in the last couple of years, you just had some kind of political people. It's almost like payback, a ministry that's used by the government in power to pay back those that have supported it politically. And they can say all sorts of things in terms of the great job that the minister is doing, and I can't see it, because the only thing you see is that you go to this airport, they are innovating toilets, things that ought to be taken for granted in the first place in building an airport. The Murtala Mohammed Airport in Nigeria here, as well as the new airport if in terms of comparison, they could be regarded as some of the worst airports in the world.
Now, one last question. You talked about most progressives. They always talk about alternative society, and I think you alluded to that in your book. How do we get an alternative society that will work for majority of our people?
Well, a couple of routes we can use. We're hoping that this democracy, if we had the opportunity of having genuine democracy and free and fair election in the true sense of the word free and fair, that we'll be able to elect people who can govern. But as it has turned out, that's not possible. We've not been able to achieve that. I think the other option open to us is civil society continue to agitate and put the government under pressure, continue to come together and hope that they can muster enough funds to bring about changes gradually, if not forcefully or spontaneously, but gradually. Maybe they are able to achieve some electoral reform. They are able to push for clamor for a sovereign national conference, for example, or they are able to push for the National Assembly to actually go for writing a new constitution completely, rather than amending this military constitution that will be running since 1999. So at the end of the day, it's Nigerians as a people who will decide what they want to do and how they want to do it. And there are a lot of options open to us in terms of what we can do. But first of all, we need to identify those who are interested in bringing about genuine change in this country and begin to come together and discuss these issues. And out of this discussion will come the solutions that we seek.
All right. Thank you so much, Chido, for coming to our show today.
Yes.
Chido Onumah is the author of Time to Reclaim Nigeria. And also we want to thank our guests, all those people that called in. I know a lot of you tried to get to us, but we couldn't take all your calls. But hopefully next week we will be able to take your calls. I want to thank Olufemi, Sheikh Husani, Onome, and all the rest of the people that we spoke to.